Good evening and welcome back to the Abundance Tree Podcast. I'm your host, Janice Luke, and I'm here with my co-host,
April Capri.
April Capri. How are you doing tonight, girl? Look at
I'm
you.
good. I'm energized. I feel great
Uh,
today. How are you?
I'm doing good. I got me a cup of coffee tonight and I'm feeling
That's
good
what that is.
right
It's
now.
caffeine glow.
That's it. I got it.
I
I'm on
love it.
my second wind.
I love it. I had to get some too earlier. Well, I get mine every day. Don't tell nobody.
Right.
Girl. Don't tell nobody every day.
I know about you and those straight espresso shots, though. Well, girl, we have a great guest tonight, y'all. This is going to be a bomb guest because
It
April,
is.
you met this gentleman. He was, well, I'll let you tell the story, but you tell us about who we're tonight.
Oh God, I did. And I'll tell y'all the story when he gets on, but it was so crazy. So we have the visionary founder and CEO of Strum. He is formerly a meta data scientist, and his passion lies in reuniting technology with real life experiences through his new platform. So Strum's core mission is to guide individuals in discovering their life's purpose. With a robust tech background, he personally engineered the platform despite initially having limited entrepreneurial experience. He just did it. So his journey has been marked by continuous learning and resilience. And despite pivots and failures, he has an unwavering motivation behind his endeavors and remains anchored in Strum's impactful mission. That is a testament to his immense power of his purpose. We have Kurt Boden,
That's a big Kurt
CEO of
Boden,
Strum and a tech connoisseur.
right? Yep, Kurt
Yes.
coming up. There he is. Kurt, how are you
Kurt,
doing? How are
I'm
you?
good. Happy to be here.
welcome.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. We're
Awesome. We were
glad to
just giving
have
you
you.
your flowers, like for just being like a tech expert, because so many people struggle in tech.
Right. Now,
Right.
before you start, because I'm going to ask you to tell us about your journey, but I got to have April tell the story of how she met, how y'all met. So I don't know if you want to tell it, Kurt, or just, one of you tell the story.
Oh
Yeah, go
man.
ahead, April. I would love to hear your perspective maybe on how we met.
So my perspective, I was in Chicago actually for work, and I'm walking around downtown Chicago. Where I'm from Chicago, so I'm walking around, and I see this guy with the sign. He's holding the sign, and like usually, like we just kind of like keep walking, keep walking. But I looked and it said, "Ask me about my startup." And so, me being me, I did. And when I talked to him, just everything was just so everything. It was just great. And here he is, like I just believe everything happens for a reason. It was definitely fate. Like that day, like I don't even live in Chicago anymore. So, like that day, I just happened to meet you. And I'm so grateful because you just been so like, you just inspired me a lot in the short time that I've known you. Like I'm really excited for you and just everything that you're doing. So, can
That is so
you
awesome.
I definitely
Oh,
appreciate it. And I appreciated you stopping because, I mean, you said like you see the guy with the sign on the street and you're like, let's just keep walking. Like, let's walk faster, faster,
That's what people
faster.
usually do.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a wild experience. And I definitely think you're right. It's like you're open to serendipity. So it's great. It's definitely great to be here. I appreciate it.
What
that's so
made
cool.
you do the sign? Like that form of marketing for your business, for your startup? Like what just sparked that idea?
Yeah. So it's one of the really crucial pieces that I've realized in just like building this stuff. There are all these pathways that you can go down when you're starting a company that can lead to nowhere. You can just keep building a product and just keep building it and building it and building it and building it in isolation and never get any feedback. You can go out and just take infinite amounts of like pulse checks on what people want and maybe just keep bouncing around and never build anything. Or so I really wanted to just spark what do people want? What are people interested in? How do you just get out there and actually talk to people? And I was thinking like, we tried doing some social media stuff and it's hard to make a mark, especially with like an account with 0 followers or 5 followers, or it's hard to really get a good understanding of what people are interested in. And so I was just thinking, like, what if I just make a sign and just go stand out there on the street? I'm curious what people will do. So it was like a really interesting process. And yeah, I started in the merchandise mart, and they were not very happy with me in the merchandise mart. They actually kicked me out of the merchandise mart.
You know the merchandise mart kind of bougie now. They kind of bougie
They're
over
like,
there.
you can't be doing that here. You can't be doing that here. And so I was a little bit discouraged actually at first. I'm thinking like they kind of my confidence took a hit, and I'm like, oh no, am I supposed to be doing this? And then I started walking around on the street, and I was thinking like, what if I just hold up the sign here? And yeah, there's the moment of like jumping into cold water when you find that corner that you're going to stand on, and then you hold the sign above your head, and like, yeah, you just kind of let it happen, or kind of just go for it. And it's nice. The first person who stops, it's very nice, because then I think the people around you kind of realize like, oh, it's not so bad. It looks like they're talking, and it looks like it's okay. Like nothing too bad is happening. So then I think everyone else that sees you is like, this is okay. I can be a part of this, or it doesn't look so scary, or nothing bad is going to happen. So yeah, shout out to the first people who stopped. And you may have been the first person who stopped that day when I was out there.
Stop. Oh.
I love it. That is so awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Like the universe works so crazy. Like the fact that you were somewhere totally else and then ended up there, and I'm literally on a trip for like 2 days, and I, like that was just crazy. But I really admired that you took the grassroots approach, and like you said, like of course, like marketing and ads is like a big thing. Like you pay big money to like market and advertise your stuff, but you just went outside and went the
That's
whole
awesome.
grassroots approach with a sign and said, "Hey, come talk to me.
And
Ask me
who
a
knew?
question."
And
I
who knew
respect that so much.
That's so cool.
I really do.
And you didn't know that she had a podcast either, so that it just worked out, right?
It's wild. It's
Yeah.
wild how the world works. It is absolutely wild.
Yeah. So with all that, tell us about your journey.
Yes, sir.
What are you working on?
Yeah. So it started about a year ago, pretty close to a year ago. And ChatGPT was released in November of last year, and it was crazy using it the first time. It was like that mind-blowing experience of like, this thing is really powerful. It is really helpful. And I think most people, when they use it that first time, it's like, wow, that mind-blowing experience of we're living in the future, like all of the futuristic stuff that we've been waiting for or reading about or seeing in movies or TV. Like, this is it. This is one of those moments that you just rarely see. And so I started playing around with it, and I was thinking like, I think I can build a Westworld character with this. Like, I don't know if the two of you watched Westworld.
What is Westworld?
Yeah,
I
Westworld, it's like this near future show that's like robots are kind of becoming sentient. They're starting to understand like their place in the world. And so it's really interesting. They have like these robots that you're following along this journey of really like self-identity and self-discovery. And it's really amazing. And so thinking like that we're that close to this futuristic show, that's like, it was just a crazy experience to start playing around with it. And then thinking like, I think I can build this. And then just starting to just try to do it. And I was doing it in my free time while I was working at Meta. And it was like, I'm going to do a little bit of this. I'm going to build the face, and I'm going to make the face so that it can express emotions. And I'm gonna, try to do something with the voice, and I'm gonna try to do it so that I can speak, and it does like voice to text, and it does this other stuff. And it's like in bits and bytes, and like kind of going through and figuring it out, and failing and failing and failing to put it together, and like just kind of like battling with it for a couple of months. There was a point that I got to where I was like, this is far enough along where I just have to go for it. I just have to just try this. And so I ended up putting in my notice at Meta and jumping in on it full time. And yeah, I guess
What?
now I've been working on this for I think full time since about April of this year. And it's so funny, actually, even talking about the beginning of this and kind of the mental experience of jumping in and thinking like, this is going to work. And then the world just being like, this is a lot harder than you think.
Yeah, talk about it.
Yes, we definitely relate
Talk
to
about
that.
it.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I admire the fact that you jumped in and you went in like you full commitment. You know, that's awesome. And it's great how I'm just gonna try to build it. Let's do it. You know, that's awesome. You
Like,
know?
did you hear that? Like, he's just watching
Yes,
a show about like these robotic beings that are developing
right.
personalities, and something in him is like, I
And
can
was
do
like, I'm
that.
gonna
Like,
build that.
what?
Like, right? That's
That's so
awesome. I
crazy,
love
but it's
it.
so cool.
It is cool. Oh my goodness. So talk more about what you're building out and how does it work?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've gone through a bunch of different iterations, and it's interesting. There are all these theories about what you should be doing when you start a company, and all of these ideas, and it seems like a lot of it comes down to just like what works for you. What is the best thing for you? You really have to figure it all out on your own. There's like no recipe to just do it. And you realize you take in as much information as you can, because there are a lot of people who have been through this. There are a lot of brilliant people that are like, have struggled with this and like fought and scraped and like figured stuff out. And so you try to take in as much information as you can. And yeah, a lot of it is just like mentally, you just have to keep going, keep trying, keep refocusing. And so we started out, and it was just this general assistant. And it was like, that was the first iteration of Jane, is this general assistant. And she could do everything, but what was the one thing that she could do? And that's what people really wanted. It's like, got to narrow the scope, make it like really specific, tailor it to one specific problem, one specific pain point. So we pivoted to Jane is an educational like tutor. Basically, she can sit, you can read to her, you can read aloud to her, and she's an active listener. She'll ask you questions about what you're reading, and she'll ask like, she basically just wants to help you learn how to read, but learn how to read aloud. There are a lot of these studies that say reading aloud is really beneficial for the brain. And so we dive in on that, build the tool, and it's EdTech is really hard. Landing a product in EdTech is really hard. And like those people that are landing those projects and landing those products, like that's a great space. It is really, really great. We need more in education, I think, just in general. But it's not the space, I don't think, for me. And so we pivoted, we opened up the platform so that anybody could come in and make a bot. And it was another good experience, another failure, I think. But basically, you open it up so that anybody can make a bot. But it opens us up then to where like OpenAI could just come and just do exactly what we were doing, and they could just totally push us out of the market. I mean, you even look at some of the stuff that they've rolled out in the last month or so, and it's very similar to what we were working on in the summer. So like you just have to keep figuring it out and iterating and figuring it out and iterating. And like, so we ended up landing on this AI people manager. So building the first AI people manager, and it's this space that I absolutely love. And I feel like it's this space that I have struggled with this in the past. The workforce today needs this. And basically the whole idea is the modern workforce, everyone loves remote work. They don't want to have to commute. And they say like 90% of knowledge workers prefer remote or hybrid roles as opposed to going into an office. But 60% of managers think that their remote employees are lower performers. So you can think about how that dynamic kind of unfolds in these modern workplaces. Yeah, it's not a good balance. And then there's also there are these studies on direct employee coaching and coaching that you get, and how that can have these really beneficial effects on employees. Like it can increase performance, it can increase trust in organizations, but it's expensive. It doesn't scale. It would be really hard for companies to spend money and get direct employee coaching for every single one of their employees. It's just something that they cannot do. And then the last piece is basically these organizations are creating huge amounts of data, huge amounts of data every single day. Like every single one of the clicks and posts and just all of this data that's being created, it's somewhere. But if you're in one of these big organizations, it's somewhere in some back room somewhere, or it's like, it's not accessible by the people who need it. Like, and every layer of a company, it's not like they feel like they can't get to this data. So it's like the CEO and the ICs, they also like just don't feel like they can access this data. So it opened up this idea of like, we can do a better job, and Jane can have a job to do. Jane can be doing this specific thing, and it can really help out people in like the modern workforce. So yeah, I love this idea, and I'm really excited about this.
Wow, that is amazing. So is this a coach, like April was saying, or is it like you said, people manager, like to train, like so whatever their job would be in the workforce, they would train them to do the job, or that's what Jane
So
would do?
there are a lot of different routes that we can take. And in the beginning, again, like the scope, just trying to shrink the scope as much as possible, focus on one problem to be solved in an organization. And the problem that we've identified to be like our first problem that we're solving is there's this project management software that is ubiquitous in the like tech space. Like everyone uses Jira and Confluence for like managing projects and writing up like wikis, and everyone uses it, but it has its problems. Like there are problems with it. It's really challenging to use. You have to do a lot of work to get it to work, and basically what ends up happening is you have to write up like a doctoral dissertation to get a Jira project in there, and then like a doctoral dissertation, no one reads it. So like no one ends up using it. And so it's, you do all this work to then have to keep coming back to it in weird ways. It's hard to navigate. There are all these just issues with it. And so what we want to build, our first tool that we are building right now is a Alexa for project management, Alexa for Jira, Alexa for tracking and understanding projects. So you can imagine going into an interface and having a conversation with Jane. And let's say I'm a manager and I'm managing a project or I'm managing a team. And I go in and I say, hey, what's going on with this project? What task are we on? What part, what is blocking it being done? How long have we been working on it? How much does it cost? And who are the key contributors? Like there are all these different aspects to it where you want to ask simple questions and you want to get simple answers. And we can break this down. We can build this into our tool. And this is what we're working on right now. And the other piece is, if I'm an employee at a company, I want to be working on something that I want to work on. I don't want to be just every day you're just given the same thing over and over and over again. I know a lot of really bright people in businesses that are like bored and tired and annoyed, and they want something better. They want a better task or a better project or a better something, and maybe they don't know exactly what that is. So what Jane can do is you talk to Jane, you have a conversation with Jane, and you say, you know, Jane, I'm bored. I'm tired of the crap work that I have to do right now. Yeah, I want to do something new. You know what I'm good at. You know what I've done in the past. Give me a task. Like, what can I do? Give me some options. Let me learn a new skill. Let me learn something new. Give me something that I want to do. And I'll do it, and I'll be excited about it, and I'll be motivated by it. And I'll go work really hard on this problem. And I think there's like this misconception, I think, in the workplace right now. And people who work remotely, there is this stigma with people who work remotely. I mentioned the stat of like 60% of managers believe that their remote employees are lower performers. It's not an intelligence issue. It's not an issue with the people not being capable of doing great work. The issue is they aren't working on something that they love. They aren't working on something that they believe in. They aren't working on something that they think is valuable. And what we can end up building, what we are really shooting for building in the long run, is we want companies to be able to just say, this is our mission. This is the thing that we're trying to do. Maybe it's like, we're trying to do green energy. We want to get into this space. We really believe in this. Now, Jane, help us figure out how to get there and create some tasks for people so that everyone knows you're pushing for this mission. You're pushing the company in this direction. This is where we're trying to go. Come join for the mission, and we'll figure out where you need to be. Like, they say that Gen Z is actually very mission-based, which is great. Like, they want to choose a job because they want to go change the world. And it's hard right now at jobs where people don't really have their mission that's very clearly defined. A lot of companies don't. And so there's this mismatch between the talent in Gen Z and the lack of a mission, or the lack of like a core understanding of where you're going. And I think we can like bridge that gap. I think that like just society, I think we can figure this out of like, define something that you want to go do that's revolutionary, that's big, that just has an impact, that has a mark, and then let's organize around it. Let's just do a better job of just organizing talented people, I guess. Yeah.
Utilizing the talent. That makes so much sense.
It does. Oh my God, it's almost as if you're marrying the individual with their purpose, you know. That's awesome. That's so powerful. That really
And
is.
finding like a streamlined way to really accomplish that purpose, because we all have ideas like, man, I don't want to do this, I want to do that. It's the how, you know what I mean? That I think gets a lot of people stuck and make them feel like they're trapped in their job, or trapped in a space, or in like some type of parameter where they just feel like, I'll never get out of here. Like, this is just life. And it really shouldn't be. Because like you said, like there's a lot of talented people that are just doing like tedious stuff every day. Because we do function off of, I mean, I'll dare say it's an outdated system. Sometimes like the stuff in place just doesn't make sense anymore. But you know, we have to sit there and smile like it does.
Yes. Yes.
And it drives some people crazy, like literally. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, boredom is the big thing that people are dealing with.
Or dissatisfaction, yeah.
Yes, they want to work on something that they love, that they're passionate about, and then they want to get the credit for doing a great job. And it's like, if you can just figure out that piece. And the thing that I've kind of realized recently, and yeah, this is a perfectly timed meeting for us to come together and talk about this, because the big discovery that I've had in putting this together is I have been doing a lot. I had been writing the code and standing on the street with a sign and doing all like the different aspects of this. And I was trying to do everything. And that's not how this should function. And what I realized was I need to talk to all of the most brilliant, talented, creative, like just hype people that I have met in my career, people that want to go change the world, people that agree, people that have been in positions in organizations where they have felt let down by their organization. Find those people, find the best and brightest, get them all in the same room, and then just get out of the way and let them figure it all out. And so it's amazing that this is happening this week, because I have only just figured this out now. I mean, I feel like I'm so, like, just looking back, it's wild. Kind of failing and failing and failing and failing and pivoting and doing more and failing and doing all this. And now getting to this point of, yeah, I need to get out of the way. And I just need to kind of bring in some good people and let them just shine. Yeah, so I've been reaching out to a lot of friends who are just awesome. And there are a couple of us right now working on the project. So I have to give a shout out to Sonali, who is an awesome designer. She is great. Shout out, absolutely. And Steven just joined. Shout out to Steven. Awesome QA automation, jack of all trades. But the team is growing right now, and just reaching out. It was so nice, actually. Once I figured out, like, you can reach out to people and you can ask for help. And when you do it and you have like a strong feeling about it being the right thing to do personally, professionally, but also just like, this is a good thing for the world. When you start reaching out to people and just talking to them about it, I don't know if I'm just lucky to have a bunch of really nice people in my life. I think I am, just in general. But also, I think just the world kind of understands, or like, yeah, good things just happen when you just reach out to people and ask for help. People are very nice and receptive, and yeah, they want to do some good stuff.
So we got a term for that, because me and April have been into enough like mentorship programs and stuff. So you're forming your strategic partnerships, in real time, which is awesome. And you're able to bring these like-minded individuals together that have the same dreams and goals or similar. And so I think that is so powerful, and I really think you're going to be going far. So it is powerful. So that's what we're seeing you do in real time. So congratulations on that.
I'm thinking the same thing in my head too. Like, yep, like-minded people, surrounding yourself with a great crowd. And I also want to say, like, you call them failures, but it's not a failure because you tried and you got up and you recalibrated and you kept pushing forward. I feel like it's only a failure if you don't try or if you give up. Then that's really a failure. But I feel like those were baby wins. And they're setting you up for the big papa win or the big mama win or whatever you want to call it. But I think that everything is happening in a way to where it's building you to be in a much greater space. So I really don't think that that's a failure, but it's also important to highlight or just point out that, you don't just go out there and start out and just, hit $1 million jackpot on your first day. Like, it does take time. So shout out to you for not giving up and pivoting. Yeah, if Janice would tell you, I love a pivot, like I respect the pivot, because pivots come from ugly places, but they lead to beautiful destinations. And it's also a skill to have in itself. So just definitely shout out to you for pivoting and making it work.
Absolutely.
I think Jane is going to be amazing.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
And much needed.
And it's crazy, even just going through this process. Yeah, I just want to say that I appreciate the two of you having me on here. Yeah, the whole idea of starting a company from your apartment, working remotely, it's like, it's a journey. But you're isolated in this, especially now with remote work and with the Zoom calls. It's hard. This process is really hard. So for anybody who is watching, who is like an entrepreneur, it's very hard. Just heads up, it's hard. But I appreciate the two of you putting this together, because it's nice to just sit and kind of talk about this. it's wild to think that this has been a year of my life now, interacting with Jane and working on all this stuff. But yeah, it's great to just get a chance to kind of like, I don't know, just talk about the experience, because it's a wild experience. It's fun, it's crazy, it's stressful, and yeah, I'm excited for the next steps.
I love
Wow,
it.
that's
I'm
so
excited for
great.
you.
Yeah, we certainly are. We're certainly happy that you are on with us and sharing your journey with us and your journey with Jane, and so I kind of I'm a little curious though, like so if someone wants to like use Jane for their business, like how would they onboard with you? Is there like do you do a consultation with them or do they have to get on with Jane themselves and
Good
just talk
question.
with Jane or how does that work?
So we are working through this like right now. The goal
Okay.
is to launch our first product in January. So we're refining it, working through it, still building. And yeah, the big thing too is another thing that I kind of learned is with me getting out of the way, it's us having this conversation or me having this conversation with this group of people. And I don't want to steer it. I know that they know what they are doing. And that's the whole reason why it works. It's like, I just need to get out of the way and sit and listen and get out of the way, because I know that they're going to do a better job than I will. And on each one of the components, like I think about the group of people that I am talking to right now, and the people that we have on this already. And they're so talented and they're so good in all these areas that are just like really hard. Like each one of these parts. And even just like the thing that I kind of realized going through this is like, you have the tech side and you have the business finance side and you have the marketing side and you have there are all these different components, user experience, and like each one of these areas is so important and so critical and so hard to do well. And finding like just talking with these people, because I've had a lot of meetings now in the last few days, and I've just kind of like refining and figuring out who can be in the different positions and like who is available and ready and like wants to dive in on this really hard problem. And you get these questions from people that are just so great. It's so funny sitting down and having these conversations with people, because people will just ask me questions that are like, wow, you are the perfect person to come and handle this. Like, just we gotta figure this out. We have to just like get everyone in the room together to just figure this out. So
That
it's been
is so
great from
great.
that perspective. Just, I don't know, having all these great
Th-
people.
I'm
That is
excited for you.
awesome. Yeah,
I'm
but
happy
you,
you
but
have a
you,
team as well.
yeah, but I want you to not sell yourself short, Kurt. And you're amazing. I mean, you have the
You
vision, and
really
you
are.
worked. You did the brunt of it, like up front. Don't sell yourself short, because yes, you'll be working with amazing people, but the value that you have already contributed and will moving forward as well. You got to remember that, like you like this is your vision coming to pass, and so I'm so proud of you. That is so awesome. I mean, I'm just so inspired by what you've already accomplished.
Me too.
Uh, and I'm so ready to see what's next. And
Me
when you
too.
launch.
And I need
Yeah.
you to be
So
on Kickstarter, man. I need you to be on
yeah,
Kickstarter. I need you to be on, like, if you had a Kickstarter, like, drop your Kickstarter link or something, like, because I feel like this is something that not only is like just meaningful to a lot of people, it's useful to a lot of people, it's going to be helpful for a lot of people, but I feel like a lot of people will support you, and you've done
absolutely.
so much. Like, you quit your
Yes.
job, like, you had a
Yes.
good job, man. Now,
Yeah.
look,
Crazy
I
thing.
see my thing like the air quotes, like a good job. I mean, there are such things as good jobs, but I'm just saying, like, people just are feel inclined to like stay there forever. But you really felt that this was important enough to like leave and do your own thing. So I feel like people will definitely stand behind you on that too.
The crazy thing is, I'm so curious where we will be in 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now.
There is no
And
telling.
Right.
yeah, I will love to have this as like a time capsule to look back on, like where we're at right now. Like I know I said it before, and I will say it one more time. It's just this period of time right now in December 2023. Like this is
Right.
it's a cool time, I think, for starting this, and there's something really good that's happening right now. And yeah, I am confident that this is going to be a thing. I am confident that this is going to be a
Absolutely.
thing.
But
So
not only that, we're going to have you back on the podcast to give us updates.
deal.
So you're going to
I'm
have
in.
that, you know. But where can people find you? Do you have a like website or social media?
Yep. So we have strummanagement.com is our website. And LinkedIn is probably the best place to find me on social media. Kurt Boden on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect. And yeah.
And that's
Absolutely.
strum.com.
Say it again.
strum.com.
Strummanagement.com. All one word.
Management.com. We'll put the link in the description, but
Awesome.
just for people that
Absolutely.
may be listening.
You all need to go connect with Kurt, because you know, especially if you have something, a skill or something you have to offer, you might can connect with his team. You know, you never know. So go follow him and connect with him, y'all. That is so awesome.
Absolutely. This man just built a bot from scratch.
Yes,
From
yes.
scratch.
It's so needed in businesses. I'm telling you, it's great. So I'm so proud of you.
And
So
an
April,
ethical bot. Like when you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like there's starting to be like this weird gray area between, you know what I mean? You know, I dare call it an ethical bot, but she's here to kind of like Jane is what is Jane's technical name? Like what would you call a Jane? Just really quick. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually had a conversation with a friend about this not too long ago. And
okay.
It's hard to just say like chatbot, but
yeah.
Because
bot doesn't feel big enough, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think the big thing that we're shooting for with this is just like, yeah, empowering people. So I hope that as we go, we can just do more and more. I know that we can do a lot of good for just a lot of people that want to build some cool stuff or make their mark. So
Absolutely.
That is absolutely what we are shooting for.
Kurt, thank you so much for coming on. April, do you have any final words for Kurt?
I just gotta just shower you with flowers, man. You are definitely doing your thing. I'm super proud of you. I'm happy that you're here, and I'm happy that you're sharing your ideas with the world. And I just see so much growth and success for you. So continue doing what you're doing. Don't give up. Keep pushing forward, and don't be scared to put your sauce on whatever you plan on doing next year for 2024.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So
thank you everybody for coming on and watching.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks,
Bye.
Kurt. Bye.